About 10 years ago, a woman in her early 70s fell severely ill. She went to her doctor and was diagnosed with cirrhosis of the liver. Something had to be done, or this woman would not have much more time to live. She was put on a list to get a liver transplant. The operation wouldn't necessarily save the woman's life, but is a second chance. After waiting several months, a proper donor was found, and the transplant was successful. To most people, this may just seem like another touching, heartwarming story, but not to me. This woman happened to be my grandmother. Organ donors are heroes in my mind. However, there is a shortage of them. There are many reasons why a person should become an organ donor, one of them being the effect that it can have on one person's life, such as my grandmother's and her family. A donor is a person who gives up their body parts after death in order to help a living person in need. Donors can give organs such as their heart, kidneys, pancreas, lungs, liver, and intestines, and also other tissues. For example, the skin, eyes, bones, heart valves, and tendons. With, with these organs, surgeons can perform transplants like the ones that was done for my grandmother. According to the Compton's Interactive Encyclopedia, the earliest transplants were performed by Hindu surgeons nearly 2,600 years ago. Technology has come a long way in the past years, and the risk of rejection has been reduced by the introductions of certain new drugs. The waiting list for one of these transplants is long. ShareYourLife.org says that there are currently 100,000 Americans waiting for an organ transplant, and there is a name added every 12 minutes. There is a lot of false thinking out there concerning being a donor. First of all, anyone can become a donor. There aren't any age limitations, and even a history of medical illness doesn't eliminate the chances of being a donor. You just have to be over 18. Many people think they are too old to donate. That's not true. Medical professionals determine what organs are viable at the time of death. Several years ago, there was a 92-year-old liver donor in New York. Secondly, some think that being an organ or tissue donor will disfigure one's body, but that is a myth. Organs and tissues are removed in a process similar to a gallbladder or appendix removal, and will not change the way the body will look in the casket. All religions support organ donating because it is a gracious act. Although most people do not realize this, another false accusation is that doctors won't try to save someone's life if he or she is a donor. But the transplant team is totally separate from the doctors who will be working on the person, and so this is not the case. The donor's family is not billed for any of the cost to remove the donating organ. I strongly believe that more people should become donors. I have seen firsthand what these people can do for someone in need, and a donor doesn't just save the life of one person, but he or she could save up to 50. According to ShareYourLife.org, as many as 18 people die each day because there are not enough organs available for transplant. I don't even want to think that there was a possibility that my grandmother could have been one of these 18 people. A transplant gave her more years of life than she got to spend with her family. I have a very special thanks to thank for all the memories, and that person is her organ donor. I want to give to others in the same way that my grandmother's organ donor gave to her, and that is why I myself became an organ donor. However, filling out a donor card and having it appear on your license may not meet your state's requirements because the law varies from state to state. North Dakota makes it easy to become a donor. The only requires you to be 18 years of age and to sign the donor identification card on your license. That's how you have to apply for here. I believe that there is also a firm argument against that there's no firm argument against donating organs and tissues. Nothing is taken away from the donor, but he or she is still allowed to give life to another. It's almost as if the donor gets a chance to have parts of him or her still live after they're gone. Anyone can be a donor. Having the parts removed doesn't affect the looks of the donor's body. It doesn't cost anything, and it is seen as an act of generosity by all religions. Being an organ donor is the biggest gift that anyone can give, but yet is the easiest gift because it is at no expense to the donor in any way. According to the Metropolitan Life Insurance, as technology is perfected, the number of people who could benefit from organ donations is rising steadily. However, while more organs are needed, the number of organs available for transplant remains relatively constant. That's because the shortage of organs has become more critical every year, and the need for donors is constantly increasing. My grandmother's life was saved by a donor, and she was a strong advocate of this system. She asked all of her family members to become organ donors, and so my family did so. Now I feel that as a tribute to her, it is my duty to convince others to do what we did. Please make the decision to give the gift of life. Those who wish to be donors have the option of putting the request on the driver's license, but it is even more important to share this decision with your family members, because upon death, they will be the ones questioned about the wishes of the deceased. Donor cards carried in a wallet or purse is another way to show others of a decision to be a donor. In conclusion, by becoming a donor, we are all given the chances to touch lives of others in a way that cannot be imagined. I have seen firsthand the effects of what it can do by touching a family.